Dear all, good morning. I am Ms. Noble A. Paliat, Assistant Professor, Department of English, Sacred Heart College for Women, Chalakudi. After the successful completion of Sue Townsend's The Secret Diary of Adrian Mole, aged 13 3/4, let me embark on Anne Frank's The Diary of a Young Girl, a form of personal narrative, a piece of diary writing. Let me begin today's lead session on Anne Frank's The Diary of a Young Girl with a quote. If the Greeks invented tragedy, the Romans the epistle, and the Renaissance the sonnet, our generation invented a new form of literature, that of testimony, by AO5. Holocaust is the most dreadful term in the whole catalogue of words in any dictionary. Holocaust is the most notorious historical event of the 20th century. It epitomizes man's cruelty towards his fellow beings. It is one of the most shocking atrocities perpetrated against humanity under the authoritarian regime of Adolf Hitler. It is a documentation of the age-old persecution and genocide of Jews in Nazi Germany. The Jews were submitted to organized ostracism and social exclusion. They were the victims of graded discrimination and inequity. As a mark of their identity, they were forced to wear a yellow star. They were denied access to theaters, cinemas, and places of entertainment. They were denied permission to travel in trams, public passenger vehicles. They were forbidden to drive. They could only shop in Jewish shops. They could only study in Jewish schools. They had to be indoors by 8 o'clock. And the lists of segregation was endless. Though they were a religious minority or ethnic minority, they were subjected to oppressions of all kinds. Holocaust literature or testimonial literature is a genre of writing that focuses on the what aspect, defined by its subject matter. And the subject matter is the oppression of European Jewry between the years 1942 and 1945 by Nazi Germany. Holocaust literature has certain design features. Holocaust literature is generally branded as being representational, highly complex, inexpressible, and boundary breaking. Holocaust literature blurs the distinction between, the borderline between historical documentation and literature. It encompasses a wide range of different forms of literature like essays, novels, plays, movies, diaries, and so on, written by those who had a first-hand experience, written by those who had a personal experience, and also by those who didn't have any such kind of experiences. Anne Frank's The Diary of a Young Girl falls under the purview of Holocaust literature or testimonial literature. Now let's come to the diary entry of Anne Frank as such. I need to have something besides a husband and children to devote myself to. I want to go on living after my death. These are the words uttered from the mouth of a precocious child who lived from 1929 to 1944, who withered away from earth, who had a very short lifespan, just an age of 15 years, none other than Anne Frank. Anne Frank, 1929 to 1944, was a German-born Jew. She was one of the victims of the Holocaust. She hailed from the family of the Franks. Otto Frank and Edith Frank were her parents. She had an elder sister named Margot. Both of them were smart and studious. Though the Jews were a religious minority, were an ethnic minority, they were blamed for all the mishaps surging in the country. They had no other option than to leave Frankfurt and flee to Amsterdam, Netherlands, where they lived happily for some time, free from Nazi persecution. But their happiness was short-lived. Situations changed gradually. When, in May 1940, the Germans invaded Netherlands and once again the Jews came under direct Nazi rule. The family had no other option than to go into a hiding. The hideout, the name of the hideout, as coined by Anne Frank, was the secret annex. Acteres is its Dutch version. Anne Frank's diary starts from the moment in which they went into a hideout. It begins on 12th June 1942 and ends on 1st August 1944. They lived in the hideout quite happily for some time until they were arrested by Gestapo, German secret state police. And they were sent to concentration camps. Some of them were sent to Auschwitz, others were led to Bergen-Belsen concentration camp. And there are unconfirmed reports that Anne Frank died at the age of 15 as a result of typhus. Anne Frank's diary entry, as mentioned earlier, begins on 12th June 1942 and extends till 1st August 1944. So her diary entry can be considered as an expression of her life history during all these years. Her diary was a red and white combo checkered book. She received this diary on her 13th birthday as her gift, as a birthday gift. She wrote the diary till the age of 15. The diary was originally published in Dutch and got translated into several languages. Her diary entries are considered to be sharp, incisive, pointed, and heart-touching commentaries on the age-old oppression and genocide of Jews under the Nazi-ruled government. It is about the hardships, the struggles, the sufferings they had to face as Jews. Now we find that there were attempts from the part of his father to delete some portions of the diary entry. It was on account of a variety of reasons. It was due to the explicit sexual content in them, and was not at all hesitant, not at all unwilling to write about, not at all reluctant to write about her years of growth, puberty, the crushes she had, the disillusionment with her mother. She explains without a second thought the nature of relationships, strained, unhealthy relationship between Anne and her mother. The conflict between her parents was yet another subject matter. So naturally, her father attempted to delete some portions of the diary. And her diary entries were always addressed to a fictitious character named Kitty, figuring in Sissy Van Maxwell's novel Jude the Whole. So this is sum total about the diary entry of Anne Frank, titled as The Diary of a Young Girl. Of the different diary entries inked by her, 2 of them are prescribed for your study. The first diary entry is dated Monday, 22nd May 1944. The second diary entry is dated Thursday, 25th May 1944. We'll be analyzing these 2 diary entries in the due course of the hours. In sum total, I would like to end today's session by remarking that Anne Frank's The Diary of a Young Girl documents the plight of Jews, the perils of being a Jew in Nazi Germany. So dear students, happy learning experiences Until we meet again in the next video presentation with a critical analysis of the first diary entry as penned by her. Stay tuned and thank you.